Hello beautiful souls, and welcome to our Taurus season pick a card reading. I'm so excited for this beautiful season, so let's get started. So welcome to Taurus season. It's really good to be here. We are making our way through the 12 zodiac signs or star signs every single month to go through and pick a card and to see what the energy is going to bring. So if you've joined us since October when we started with Libra season, then you'll really be on this spiritual path, this spiritual journey and this healing and this growing. If you're just starting now, then trust that this is the right time for you. But you are of course very welcome to go back and catch up with all of the videos and just see how they align with your path. So Taurus season, I think, is a really fun season. I think it brings an element of getting work done, but I feel it also invites this element of play into it as well, which I really love. And that's because Taurus is ruled by Venus, which of course Venus is the planet of love and beauty and money, which makes so much sense. So Taurus is the ruler of the second house, and it is a really beautiful earth sign, a fixed earth sign, and it therefore has this quality that's really connected to nature, to the earth, to the material. So you'll often find if the moon is in Taurus or during Taurus season, you may be called to spend a little bit more money than usual. So that's the first tip for this season, is watch and be mindful of how you are spending your money, or maybe organize your finances a bit before the season starts and just really keep track of what you're spending and where your outgoings and incomings are in your life. I definitely spend a lot of money when it's the moon in Taurus, so I'm gonna have to be really strict with myself this month. It's going to be really hard. I just know Taurus just has this effect on me, and I'm like, I really need to learn. So definitely check where Taurus is in your chart. Everybody will have Taurus, even if it just rules one of your houses, and it's worth checking your planets and your asteroids as well. And also I'm going to bring in Soul Plan as well. In Soul Plan, the energy 6 is connected to Taurus, and that's a very creative, expressive, playful energy. So I really feel like this season is going to say to you, you could either be plodding along nicely like the bull, or you might feel a little bit like a bull in a china shop, or you know, that you just can't keep a handle on things. So just be really mindful of that. Really lean into the beauty and the really earthy quality that this sign brings. And to be honest, whenever I think of this sign, I think of roses as well, which is funny because I know that roses are usually associated with Libra. But definitely for me, I feel like Taurus is like the red rose, or like a really deep pinky rose as well. It's really going to be about getting the work done, but having time to play as well. So let's start by diving into our card pile readings. And I would definitely invite you to just take a minute to just close your eyes, just set the intention to tune into yourself, and just trust that you are going to choose the card pile that is most aligned for you and what is going on in your life right now. And whenever you're ready, just opening your eyes and picking either card pile 1 on the left or card pile 2 on the right, and just knowing that the message that will come through is exactly what's meant for you in this moment. And if you can't decide, it's completely fine to watch both. Even sometimes just watching the first minute tells you if something's for you or not. Sometimes I'll do that if I can't decide. I'll watch and then I'm like, no, that's not the one for me. So you can do that as well. It's completely fine to do that if you are, you know, just maybe taking a bit of time to decide or just haven't fully tuned in. The decks that we are using this month are the Gentle Heart Tarot by Vanessa Samina, which I know you guys love. We're also using the Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. I just felt those two aesthetically just were really going well together, and I feel like aesthetics are important for Taurus season. Like, I've tried to go for the luxury the luxury look today. And then of course we're using the Soul Plan cards. So if you chose card pile number 1, then your first card is the King of Swords. This beautiful energy here. He looks very calm, very serene. I would say very sorted, you know. He knows his worth, he knows what he's doing, and he's balancing things, right? There's no strain in him. In fact, it's almost like he's mastered something and that sword is just hovering above his hand. So I think this is a really great card to receive, and I honestly don't remember what came up in last month's reading, but I feel like there was something to do with mastery, self-mastery for card pile 1. So if you did pick card pile 1 for that for Aries season, then I do think there is a continuation of the journey that's going on for you here. There is an element of continuing that mastery, becoming the king or the ruler or the royal element within your life. Don't get caught up in gender here, like the king is just basically saying mastery, power, etc. So this to me is really saying that you are coming into this space of clarity, this mental clarity, right? Because obviously the swords are the air and therefore they're all about the mental space. And so it might be that you're just feeling, just this really strong sense of, you know exactly what you need to be doing. And that's really great because obviously Taurus is this earth sign and they like to work hard to get things done. They like the luxuries in life. So obviously you want to be able to think clearly, to be able to focus, to go and get things that you want, to have the money to go and spend and enjoy, or to save and put towards something that you're, you know, hoping for. So I feel like this is going to be quite a positive season for you. This is saying to me you're really in your power and you're really grounded, which is really great. So keep that up. Remember to stand in your truth, okay? I mean, if you look at this card, nothing is affecting him, right? There's very little distraction around him. So even though we have the cloud at the top, which is obviously representing the thoughts, the air, aside from that, everything else is flushed out of this image. It's a very calm, straightforward image, which to me says he's got rid of all of the distractions, which is what we were talking about earlier about how sometimes Taurus can be a bit like a bull in a china shop, you know, like overexcited because they get very passionate about things, again ruled by Venus, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he's come into a space where he's like, well, I know that I'm passionate about this. I know how to channel that, to focus that into what I want to do, to actually achieve what I'm here to do. So maybe there's something that you've been thinking about or working towards, and this season is going to really help nurture and encourage you into that space where you're actually really able to take action and do and see the results of what you're looking for to create or to grow or to build or to, you know, say yes to. Like, it feels really positive. So I think the strong message from this card for you this month is really stand in your power, put on your crown, stand in your power, express your truth, and do things in a very focused, calm, balanced manner. Like, approach things with logic. Obviously there's going to be a lot of intellectual focus with this card, so really focus on that side of yourself, you know, like you've really mastered your thoughts and you've released or are releasing any negative thought patterns, and therefore you're able to really say, actually, I am worth this. I do deserve that. I can achieve this. So I just feel like this is really good for you, actually. I think this is going to be another fun and positive month. So the next card that we have for card pile 1 is Sisterhood of the Rose, Beauty and Devotion, Priestess, Mystic, Teacher. Now this is interesting because firstly we have the King and now we have the Priestess. And so both of those to me are essentially those types of figures who are public figures, right? You know, in the ancient times, obviously a priestess or a priest would have very much been the leader or the spiritual leader of the community. People would have looked to them for advice and guidance. So I feel like this card combined with the King of Swords is basically saying to you, step into your leadership. And again, that can be within, you know, your family or your community or a position at work. Okay, what's coming through now is maybe you're looking for a promotion at work and maybe you've kind of sorted things out, you know, like you've been there long enough, you've kind of ticked all the boxes, and now you can apply for or approach or think about having a promotion. Now that's really interesting because ultimately, is that because your job is advertising for promotions or, you know, a new role? Or is it that you're ready to expand yourself? Have you been in a role for a while and actually you're thinking, do you know what? I really am actually good at this. I know what I'm doing. I can afford to apply to a different company or a different place, or maybe even set up my own thing because I know what I'm doing. I can do this. Now, what really stood out to me on this one was the teacher. So I know that for the King of Swords, there can be something about this male figure or teacher in your life who's basically really sorted, really grounded, and really can guide and help you. But I feel like it's actually inviting you to be that person. It's up to you to step up and to become that person. So there may even be a nudge or a push into that space. Maybe you might not feel that you're ready for it, but actually other people around you are noticing that you are, and they might be saying to you like, oh, you're really, really doing well at this, you know, you haven't been here for long, or you have been here for long and you really know what you're doing. Just be mindful that there might be people around you kind of encouraging or pushing you towards stepping up, to pushing you to be more than you are. Maybe you've been kind of taking a back seat, and this is saying, actually, you don't need to do that anymore. You can step forth, you can move forth with your life. And again, this is really beautifully aligned for Taurus season because it talks about beauty and devotion, and obviously Taurus is all about that beauty. So it's like, how can you really bring beauty and devotion into your daily life? Are there any rituals that you can do? Maybe you can incorporate roses or something, you know, that feels good for you. It doesn't have to be flowers, but just, as I say, like I always think of roses when I think of Taurus, but maybe there's another form of luxury that you can invite into your life, but doing it in a balanced manner. It's not about indulgence, because that would be like the low vibrational form of a Taurus, to overindulge, to overspend, overspend, to overindulge in like the material possessions, right? So can you find beauty even in the most humble of objects or spaces, or even in the most humble relationship, right? Can you find the beauty in that this month? Can you devote yourself to that? Can that be something that you can make into a ritual where every day you're just noticing and you're feeling gratitude towards the beautiful things that have happened each day? And sometimes that can take practice, you know, to recognize that just because something isn't beautiful as we would think of it in society, actually it's beautiful in a spiritual or a healing space as well. So again, just bringing that knowledge and that awareness with you into your day, I think would be important. So this is very interesting. I'm excited. So okay, let's look at our soul plan energy then. So what came through is soul reflection, appreciation and comprehension of the non-physical, inspiring others to see beyond the ordinary. So this is coming through, and what I feel is coming up is actually, it's like now that you have a bit more mental clarity, you know a bit more who you are, and because you know who you are, you can start expressing and sharing who you are, and therefore you can inspire other people to do the same. It's kind of like, you know, you've been on your journey, you're coming into that space of mastery, and now you can step up and you can say to people, well, this is who I am, and I love who I am. I'm fully accepting and integrating and healing and working with who I am in this lifetime, and I feel really good about that, and I'm going to share who I am just in the most natural way, the most authentic, genuine way to me. If that makes you feel good about yourself and it inspires you or reminds you that you can do the same, then that's great. So humility is coming in quite strongly. It's obviously important to be humble when we're doing things like that. However, this is, I just think, an innate thing that you'll start doing. I think because you started to become more confident and more self-aware and recognize your gifts, I think just naturally you're going to start inspiring other people. Naturally other people are going to say, oh, like when you wore, you know, those cool shoes the other day, I went online and I found some cool shoes, I'm going to wear them. And it's such a simple thing, but sometimes those really simple things can become such a brave step for somebody. And maybe them thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to go and buy a fancy pair of shoes. And then it might make them think, well, actually, I'm not going to stay in this relationship anymore because it's actually really toxic. So sometimes really small steps of self-expression become this huge step of bravery and courage and inspiration for other people. So by being yourself and by stepping into who you are helping to give other people permission to shine their light. So a really positive thing this month. So keep an eye out for those opportunities and just naturally allow yourself to be a beacon of inspiration for people. So I hope that you've enjoyed this reading. Let me know how it resonates with you in the comments below, and I will see you in next week's video. If you chose card pile 2, then your main theme for this month is the Nine of Swords. And as you can really see from this card, which I think it displays this really beautifully, a little bit of mental anguish going on. Maybe there's some negative thought patterns or some limiting beliefs that are really holding you back. And it's interesting because I feel like there's a real yin and yang going on this time. You know, the cards for card pile 1 and card pile 2 are almost like opposites. So it's almost like you need to clear your mind. You need to free yourself from the bonds of the past that are holding you back, right? You can just even see in her face here, like she's rubbing her head, her temple, like, do you know what? I almost feel like you are overthinking about things so much, you're giving yourself a headache or you're giving yourself a neck ache, right? It's like you've created so much tension. It's like, all that, right? And it's going into your head and it's causing a physical reaction now, a physical disharmony or dis-ease, whatever you prefer. So I encourage you to actually do something to change that. Now that can be something really simple like meditating. If you feel like you're overthinking about things, or if you feel like you've got a lot going on in your mind, then immediately I invite you to meditate. That is the simplest way to clear out your mind, because especially if you listen to a guided meditation, like I'm not suggesting you just sit in silence and hope for the best. I'm suggesting that you do something that's guided, which is actually really going to help you to just clear your mind, because you're focusing just on what that person is saying. And even if your mind does wander, that's okay, because you can just say to yourself, oh, I've just noticed that I've wandered out from that meditation. I just need to pull myself back. What's that person saying to me to do now? And it's completely fine if you want to open your eyes and go back 10 seconds. Like I've done that before. We all do that. We close our eyes and then we're like, oh, wait a minute, I really need to post that letter today. Oh, I have to go tomorrow. Can I do that tomorrow? Wait a minute. Oh, I'm not listening to meditation. It's fine, okay? I think with meditation, the element of surrender and forgiveness comes in. It's really okay if you have to stop yourself, or if you have to be paused for a minute, or if you have to go back, right? So that's fine. So I'm just going to invite you to think about that as a starting point to release the mental stress, the mental overwhelm that's going on in your head. And then I'm going to invite you, when you've got some space, to do some EFT. I just think that's going to be really, really powerful and really, really helpful. And if you're in a space where you're new to EFT, or maybe you're just in this instance could do with some guidance or some support, I'm now offering EFT as sessions, and you are very welcome to contact me about those. I'll put any details or anything that you need in the description box below, because I love working with EFT. I've actually got a group workshop coming up, which will have finished by the time this video comes out, but I've got a group workshop coming up for empaths, EFT for empaths, which I'm really excited about. So if you're looking to maybe just release some of that mental or emotional stress that's causing this anguish within your mind, then definitely I would recommend EFT as well. And then of course, journaling. So this is going to be a bit more of a healing time for you, and that's a positive thing, because actually when we're healing, we're just getting ourselves closer to our higher self, closer to joy, closer to our dreams and our goals and our purpose. So it's really a good thing. So take that time to be like, okay, maybe in the last few months I've been overthinking and I've been stressing and I've been worrying and it's all built up and I've got these head pains and I'm feeling tired and I'm stressed and I almost can't take anything else on board. Okay, so let's do some things to release that. So do some meditation, do some EFT. You can always come to me and we can work on something. And then you want to do some journaling, right? And when it comes to journaling, you don't even need to have a journal prompt or a question. You can quite literally just sit down and write, today I feel, and just let it out. Even if it feels weird or silly, or even if you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, that's really negative, that's okay. It's okay to have negative thoughts sometimes. It's okay to feel negative at times, but it's when it's every single day. It's when it's 24/7, 365. That's when we need to think, okay, this isn't healthy for me. What can I do to change that? So then just let it out, okay? And just really keep going until you can't physically write anymore, because there's nothing else to write. Even if your hand is hurting, just keep writing. It doesn't matter whether your handwriting is nice or not. What matters is it's coming out of your system. You're releasing, you're removing it, and then you can either burn it or you can shred it or you can rip it up. You can do whatever feels good for you to release it and let that go. So those are 3 tips I really want you to focus on if you're feeling just really cluttered in your mind. Another way to do decluttering in your mind is to declutter around yourself as well. So it might be time for a bit of a spring clean. I've actually just done that myself. I've just tidied up my crystals. I had way too many tumblestones out and I was like, I just feel overwhelmed by these actually. So I've just actually got rid of half of them and then put some in a bowl, and then I can just pick one for the day. Maybe some physical decluttering might be quite good as well to release the mental, because it all works together. Yeah, the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, they all are connected and they all work together on a, you know, they all speak to each other and communicate. So you can release that. You can actually help yourself this month. So the next card is Break the Chain, Ancestral Patterns, Healing, Rewriting the Future. This is really interesting to me, because when it said break the chain, immediately I'm thinking of this card, which is obviously talking about, you know, mental anguish, negative thought patterns. I feel like it's inviting you to break the chain of a negative thought pattern. Maybe there's a really negative belief that you have. Maybe you aren't even aware of it. Maybe this month it's going to come to the surface and you're going to think, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I thought that about myself. I didn't even know that was a belief I had. And so this month it's inviting you to break that. Now it does talk about ancestral patterns. I think that's really interesting. So firstly, maybe this belief is actually something that is an ancestral belief. Secondly, maybe you're already doing ancestral healing. Maybe you're already working on that level, and this is asking you to go that bit deeper this month. So I really invite you, if you're already on that journey or if you're about to start that journey, to definitely look to work with someone. I think whenever you're doing ancestral healing, it's really great to have the support of a therapist with you who can hold the space, create the container for you whilst you're healing, to be there to support you, to hold you. Definitely consider that. You can always come to myself, or I know loads of amazing therapists I can recommend you to as well. So again, all my details are in the description box. And then what I love about this is it says rewriting the future. That's great. So it's kind of like you might start off Taurus season thinking, oh, I feel really stressed and overwhelmed, and then you might start doing the work, doing the healing, and then by the end of the season you're going to be thinking, actually I feel really good. I can rewrite this, I can change it, I can change and reprogram this belief or this thought, I can reframe this pattern, I can completely change it or delete it if I want to. But you can rewrite the future. Just because you feel potentially stressed or overwhelmed right now, it does not mean that has to be your truth or your story, okay? It actually means you have the power to change that. So I think this is going to be really great for healing for you this month. And then finally, this soul plan energy that came through is the energy 20, movement, flow, and seeking. Flowing energy of creativity, inquisitive searching, and exploration. So this is interesting because this energy is all about surrender, going with the flow. It's literally meant to represent water, right? And yet at the same time, when it's coming in as a challenge, it can actually be about being really rigid and having rigid belief systems or rigid approaches to doing things. So I feel like all these cards for this card pile are working really nicely together. They're just inviting you to remove rigidity, to remove this like really set way of doing or thinking about things, and instead come into a space of flow. Instead come into a space where you surrender and you actually connect with that really inquisitive, creative side of yourself. And you think, okay, well, this is what I did believe, but what if I believed something else? What if I changed or reframed that? So sometimes we have to go through the steps, through the process. It doesn't just go from I am not worthy to I am worthy, right? That just, no. It's a no. Whereas if you can really go through the stages and think, okay, what would the next thing be? How can I next do that? So if you are working on self-love, because obviously Taurus does connect to Venus, so it's very much connected to the body, then maybe part of you is like, I really hate, for example, my legs. I don't like my legs, they're really ugly. So let's say your belief is my legs are ugly. Then you can change that to I'm learning to love my legs, or my legs are powerful and strong and carry me every day. I have dimples in my kneecaps, they're cute. Pick something that is good and start from there, okay? And again, that's where EFT would just come in so nicely for that. I think this is really just inviting you to think outside of maybe a more rigid mindset or box that you have been focusing on, and instead be like, guess what? There are other things outside of that. Just because you've created this reality for yourself, it doesn't mean there isn't another reality outside of that. So this is a really exciting month, I feel, for you, card pile 2. So let me know how this resonates with you in the comments below. I'm always excited to hear or to receive your messages as well on social media to hear about how it's resonating for you. Enjoy Taurus season, go out there, have fun, connect to beauty, connect to your inner and outer beauty, and I will see you in next week's video. Is the energy 20? Can't speak today. I've actually got a group, but doing it in a balanced manner. Oh, I really hope that heater works in a minute. It's freezing in here. Do wish my video would stop doing that. It's really annoying. Still got my glasses on. Let's take them off. Just I can't see. Really hoping that's actually, it's going to be fluffy. Okay, we'll go with that.